This is a longer version of an article which just appeared in Chronicles Magazine about how the church can escape her slide into secularization and overcome tyranny. Before I start reading it, I apologize that I haven't responded to comments on this channel in recent days. I might be able to get back to that in the near future. Now, the article. The way to deal with tyranny, as the scriptures tell us, is to break its teeth. Thanks be to God, this is simple to do and anyone can do it. Today's totalitarianism is global. We see its diabolical depths in police protection for drag queen story hours, in governments supporting the surgical and chemical sterilization of children. We see it in the summary freezing of bank accounts of those who stand for personal and national sovereignty. We see it in the enslavement of households and nations to inescapable debt. We see it in the juggernaut driving war after war for profit and worse. We saw it from 2020 in the crippling worldwide lockdowns and fanatical pressure to inject all with what is, at best, a medical experiment. We see diabolical tyranny in the cancellation of priests who keep the faith, as well as in the accelerating appointment to the highest positions in the church of men who actively protect sexual predators. Some are elevated to be cardinals because they are sociopathic liars, for this is the material which Satan needs and in the places he thinks he needs them. For a moment, it may seem the devil has become the gatekeeper, but he will not prevail, because he cannot. The tremendous war between good and evil is not evenly matched. There is an infinite imbalance. Evil has no chance whatsoever of victory, literally no more chance than darkness has to overcome light. Every step forward taken by evil is toward its own doom, including the most appalling advance of wickedness since the plot to crucify Christ, namely the current secularization of the Catholic hierarchy, made evident by Bergoglio in Rome, a bishop dressed in white who cannot hide his devotion to Judas. Then as now, God only permits evil for the greater good, knowing it will devour itself and all who side with it. And thanks be to God, anyone can be assured of sharing in Christ's eternal victory. How does this happen? Dr. Jordan Peterson has astutely observed that totalitarian states are not ruled by a singular top-down tyrant, a Hitler, a Stalin, a Lenin. No, a totalitarian system is ruled by a lie. Dr. Peterson goes further, that this tyranny is maintained by all who join in with the lie, who act as if it is so. Under any dictatorship, this is usually the majority of the population, at least until it shows signs of collapse. Now, the biggest tyrant requires the biggest lie. Satan rejects and obfuscates the highest truth in his aim to establish a global totalitarianism aimed at eternal perdition. The greatest dogmas which the devil denies are that God is three persons in one, and that the second person died on the cross to save us from sin, that the living memorial of this singular act is the holy sacrifice of the Mass, and that Jesus Christ is really, truly, substantially present in the Blessed Sacrament, body, blood, soul, and divinity. Anyone on earth who denies these truths thereby paves the way for the final Antichrist. This is the engine of secularization. It is the spirit of this world, which frantically seeks to oppose God's grace entering into the souls of men. It hates the higher world. The absolute antidote to evil is the crucifixion, because it is the truth, and the holy sacrifice of the Mass is the same truth, realizing the intensity of God's love in this world. God is dying to give his own substance and life to us. Evil is not a substance, but a privation. It is a lack of being, or disordered being. The Holy Eucharist is the highest substance, the fullness of being. It is the principle of all order, hence we speak of holy orders. However injured is your soul, the Holy Eucharist heals. Whatever disorder in your life, the Holy Eucharist conforms you to Christ, aligns you with God. In this way, Jesus fixes families, raises communities, gives glory to whole nations, saves the world forever. Priests are supposed to know this because they are meant to be in the world but not of it. Sacerdos, priest, comes from sacra, meaning sacred, that is, set apart for God. Similarly, seminary, where priests are trained, cognates that separated place for growing seedlings until they are strong enough to be transplanted into the earth. We must know God before we can teach anything of him. But the fornicating ecclesial hierarchy are actively destroying seminaries, sending their candidates into secular universities for studies, living like laymen, dressing like laymen, studying just like laymen, alongside women, with the obvious consequence that many scarcely discover their vocation. Whole conferences of bishops plead no necessity for this, but actually think it is better that priests should be indistinguishable from the laity. They seem not to believe we are all made for a higher world than this one. Secularisation comes from secula, meaning age or world. God created the world very good, which it is insofar as it is properly ordered to its maker. For this world is subordinated to the next world, to eternity, to the age of ages, or world without end, secula seculorum. The murderous lies of the devil brought disorder into human souls, thereby into society and all creation. He does this by denying that God is the Lord and purpose of all. The devil denies the second age to pretend that this present age is all there is. It is the secula without the seculorum, as if there were no next world. Hence, the spirit of this world is not a substance, not a thing, not even a program. The Novus Ordo Secularum is a lie, denial of the true God and true man. This world does not know the Son of God, for this world cannot receive the Spirit of truth. This world hates and persecutes those who are of God. Jesus' kingdom is not of this world, wherefore he casts down the prince of this world, Satan. Christ defeated Satan on Calvary. Jesus died on the cross to save the world, to give his own life to as many as would receive him, most intensely in the Holy Eucharist. For the bread of God is that which cometh down from heaven, and giveth life to the world. Establishing the memorial of his crucifixion, Jesus told his disciples, I have overcome the world. It is through our belief in the crucifixion of the Son of God, in its memorial Holy Mass, in the real presence, that we share in his eternal divine life. This faith literally overcomes the world. Satan wants us to ignore God, to devour our brothers, to despair of ourselves. But in the crucifixion, God reveals his nature to us. It is in the pierced heart of Jesus we learn invincibly that God is charity. So we must gaze on the crucifixion and see through the agony and injustice, to see through this world, to perceive the greatness of God's love, the reality of the next world. That is the spiritual fight. And by grace, anyone can do it, and it conquers. With these realities in sight, it makes sense that we cannot understand secularization simply by observation of the present. Contemplation of revelation is required, a deep gaze at the theological, even across the span of history with the crucifixion at the center. The political scene is by nature complex, for it is temporal, circumstantial, particular, inextricably material. The spiritual scene is, by its nature, simple, for it is eternal, indivisible, universal, immense. Gaze on the crucifixion and see God. Contemplate his love, his patience, his desire to forgive. Gaze on the Holy Eucharist and see God. This brings order into the world. These are the spiritual battlefronts. Ideas are upstream of politics. Religion is upstream of philosophy. Adoration of God is upstream of every human force in the world. Now, as we face an all-pervasive global tyranny, many who resist are realizing that we need to raise our game to the spiritual. Totalitarianism, once established, can only be broken by something beyond its reach. And by God's design, his constant intervention in the world rises up within us. That's beyond the reach of totalitarians. It's grace. Psalm 93 asks, "Who shall stand up against the tyrant, against those who use law as a weapon to crush?" It is understandable that a family man sees his duty in caring for his wife and children. He might calculate that he cannot put his head above the parapet, but he should be aware that unless some souls do put everything on the line, then all will sink under slavery. Each can judge their situation according to their opportunities and circumstances. But priests do not have this excuse. We are free from wives and children so that nothing can prevent us putting all on the line. Breaking tyranny's teeth is needful so that the Church has the political freedom to bring the sacraments and gospel, which is the priest's mission. Clergy only need to insist on carrying out their mission, and there will be no space left for the tyrant. Our fight is not against flesh and blood. What I mean is, priests don't have to get involved in politics. It's enough for them, if they will do their job as priests, to bring the sacraments and let nothing stop them, to preach the gospel and let nothing stop them. And in due course, the enemy will be overcome by this. If we cease to do it because of fear of the enemy, then everyone goes down too. We break the tyrant's teeth with the cross, with self-sacrifice. Holy martyrs, even children, give the example, who refused to bow down to idols. Also virgins who refused to be corrupted by their persecutors. These martyrs brought down dictatorships. The grace which God awards for this total devotion to him leads and equips others to resist and to fight, to place God first, and to love their neighbours and enemies as themselves. Following the supernatural vanguard, politicians and armies can fight the secondary struggles of this world, which are informed by the primary spiritual fight. All are involved, all are called, but Jesus established an ecclesial hierarchy for a purpose. Today, the Church has been thoroughly infiltrated, and the fallout is erupting from the top. This was made glaringly manifest when Francis closed churches for Easter. He thought it an act of love to withhold the sacraments, and explicitly taught that love requires submitting to an unapproved vaccine. Bergoglio's regime during the COVID years exhibits evaporation of faith and causes it. When churches reopened, they barred the non-compliant and in cases even called the police on them. It became the norm to treat the sacred species with mundane disdain. For distributing Holy Communion, screens were erected, gloves put on, disinfectant used. Jesus even abandoned unadored in plastic bags to be collected later or posted through the mail. In 2020-21, countless priests were told not to give Holy Communion on the tongue. This command is illegal. No priest may refuse Holy Communion to those who present themselves worthily. No local ordinary, not even a cardinal, can overturn universal law. What mental derangement must one imbibe to think Holy Communion on the tongue is dangerous? It is virtually impossible to transmit a virus by passing in front of someone, pausing to put what has the accidents of dry bread in their mouth. The chances of infection are so negligible as to be literally unmeasurable. Yet bishops preferred to starve the faithful rather than use their brains or backbones. They imply they know better than God, as if Jesus overlooked dangers when he instituted the sacraments. In 2020-21, priests were ordered to turn the faithful away from Easter ceremonies, the highest days of our year. Priests have been forbidden from offering masses publicly for refusing to wear a mask to distribute Holy Communion. Again, one must be detached from reality to think there is any proportion here. We were told that wearing a mask was a little thing, not important, and yet refusal to wear one was counted as more important than the sacraments. Evidently, those imposing it thought it the most important thing in the world. In this way, Catholics made themselves agents of the tyranny. By this stage, Bergoglio had unleashed Traditionis Custodes, the most evil document ever issued from the Vatican, and that category is not meant to be competitive. Weaponizing the law, which is standard today, the man whom most call Pope is attempting to eradicate the traditional Latin Mass. His letter accompanying the motu proprio impossibly asserts that the new Mass is the unique expression of the Roman Rite, as if the apostolic liturgies do not exist. It further makes explicit that in due course we are all expected to worship at the Novus Ordo. A raft of godless measures followed to strangle the ancient liturgy, including by imposing vernacular readings. The aim is to please the spirit of this world. All this is bound to happen again unless the tyrant's teeth be broken. I do not mean Bergoglio, he will soon be gone. And I do not mean the devil. Crushing him is the Virgin Mary's prerogative. I mean the globalists, those who deny Jesus Christ in the flesh and appoint themselves as Messiah. The Good Shepherd rises above their demands. False messianism is served by every denial of the true Messiah and of his real presence in the Holy Eucharist. Every act of adoration of Jesus in the Eucharist, every worthy reception, every worthily offered Mass, builds up the kingdom of God in our midst. It is our refusal to comply with the totalitarian lie, our faith that this world is subordinated to the next, our love of Christ truly present in the Blessed Sacrament, that overcomes secularism with Christ's light and his truth. Master yourself by giving yourself to Jesus Christ as your absolute master. Have faith. Break the tyranny in your soul, and it will lose its grip on the world. Anyone can do this. Our Lady did it best, her perfect participation on Calvary active in all the Masses ever since. And therefore, it is given to the Blessed Virgin Mary to crush Satan's head. We have nothing whatsoever to fear.